just me, so.
No, it's both of us, that's exactly what I'm saying is, wanna make sure that that communication, what our practice is now is solidified.
Yeah.
Which right now is anything major, regardless of the dollar amount, has been coming to us.
Yep.
And like you said, it's sometimes in a meeting, it's sometimes email, it's sometimes popping in the office saying, hey, this is the issue. I just don't want to lose that by setting a solid amount. I just wanna make sure that if we set a solid amount, we also have verbiage that maintains
And the
that-
nice thing is if they did.
that
send an
relationship.
email, I mean, it's there. I mean, that email can be printed out and say, hey, yeah, I got an email. Sometimes it goes to, it might go to the county commissioner email, it might go to an individual commissioner, whoever we drive by and see whose car's sitting outside. It might be that, but the fact is it can be printed out and be put there with that claim saying.
Documentation, you bet.
It's there, and it doesn't take long. I mean, we're all on our computers. I live on mine, so it's not like it's really taken much away from the day. Just to send a quick word saying, hey, we had to do this, we had to do that. So that's just my opinion.
Oh, thanks, Willie.
I got a comment too. I've been involved in this process before. A couple of things I would suggest is, and it does mention it here a little bit on price, but I would suggest having some language here that it says that lowest cost is not the determining factor. I've been involved in that where they want to hold you to that. They make a bid and they say, oh, well, my bid was the lowest. But you may have experience with that particular product or something before, it doesn't work for you. And you want to have that option to say, that's not what we're going to do. The other thing too is, I think you want to include the option there for, say, example, when he needs to buy some new vehicles, he can tag on to the state of Montana. They're buying 500 new vehicles. It increases his purchasing power. If it meets his specification, he can easily make that purchase and save money in his budget. So I think those are things that we could consider as well.
I like that.
And the state bid is really, I don't know if we get familiar, but we haven't done it in the past. And it's something we need to really look into because there's a lot of cost savings attached to that.
I've done it in the past and it saves you a great amount of money. So it's a good process.
Thank you.
And Broadwater Ford had it last time for the state of Montana, so that was locally.
An additional plus.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll get it this year though. There's some big players out there.
Mike, any thoughts?
No, I think all these ideas are pretty good to try to get them implemented back into here.
One thing too, is I know that you guys are looking to get a public works director or supervisor, and that's gonna help you out a lot because a lot of those departments will be able to communicate with him and manage that budget and communicate with you as well. I think that's gonna take a little bit of that burden off you. Yeah.
So another, under section 5, another thing we talked about is having the finance officer responsible for all the contracts. The files right behind Jack there is the commission files. That's where all those contracts are. So I proposed some language in F and G that changed it from finance officer to the county commission. First of all, that would come through a meeting, so it's part of the public record, and then it would be filed in our files. And then also all department heads should keep a copy. We should have the originals.
Good idea.
Any thoughts?
Which line is that?
That would be section 4, F and G at the very bottom. So the very last word previously was, said that the, I'll read it to you. Previously it said, and the final contractual agreement must be turned in to the county finance officer. First of all, we don't have enough personnel in that office, they're already overworked and understaffed. They also don't have the space or the files for that. So I changed the language and sent this to Mike earlier. And the final contractual agreement must be turned into the county commission to be filed. A copy shall be retained by the applicable department.
Okay, and that's what this one has.
Right, that's the change. Is that good with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, we do have, a number 6, section 5, the lowest responsible bid. And the same language under number 8. And the final contractual agreement must be turned in to the county commission to be filed. A copy shall be retained by the applicable department. And then for number 6, I would suggest adding to the beginning of that, subject to MCA 7-5-2101. Most of that language is directly from that statute. And then just one more, Mike, number 5, numbers 2 and 3. Previously, it said that would be reviewed and approved by a county commissioner, both numbers 2 and 3. I suggest the county commissioners, and again, just like Wynn was saying, via email, it takes 2 seconds, and everybody is privy to the information equally. You don't have all responsibility falling to one. Especially individually, we have absolutely no authority.
And those are both changes over here, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
and if you oppose any of those, they can be taken out.
No, because that was what they said was a county commissioner before, I didn't see where that was gonna be legal at all. So what do we use in this, section 8 request for proposal? It says, it mentions the scoring criteria. So how do we determine what that scoring criteria is?
Well, what we did on that generator is we kind of sat down and decided if, did the bid that come in, was it a general contractor's bid, or was it just for doing the electrical work? Did that person meet all the specifications? So on that generator, we had the generator itself, the transfer switch, then with the labor involved, the concrete pad, the removing of the, we bought a propane tank, so we had a 1,000-gallon propane tank on that bid. And then, so that means the general contractor, did they include all these things in, like AmeriGas, hooking that all up? Or did the bid come in, which was, say, one of the bids we got, all the person wanted to do, the electrician wanted to do, was just the electrical part. He didn't want to do the concrete part, he didn't want to fool with the propane. So the scoring thing, he got less points, like 1 out of 10, he only got like 5 points. The one we awarded got about all 10 points, because they did everything. I wanted them to be the general contractor, so that's kind of the criteria. Mike can kind of explain that a little bit better, Mike Myers. You just kind of figure out, you know, this is your specs, and as these bids come in, one of the things you look at is price. The other things is what kind of a reputation does that company have? I've been sued several times. What kind of services do they have? Like if we're gonna do some radio work, are we going to have Capital Communications, or we're gonna have a firm out of Billings, Montana? So Billings it's gonna take them 4 or 5 hours to get up here. Close or somebody out of Helena. So those are the things you use for criteria. Turnaround time for servicing. So you just kind of pick those things. What do we want to judge these bids on? And I'm sure there's a bunch of information on the internet to help you set a criteria. Just like when we interview for candidates for something, our contract, we interview for contracts for doing that pre-disaster mitigation plan, and we ended up picking Tetra Tech. And we were very, we had a criteria, and they met the criteria, and we selected several others in county government in the neighborhood here down in southwestern Montana, picked the other one, and they ended up, they weren't real happy. So the criteria is really important. It's just something you kind of make up. You sit down with yourself. You're a contractor, and sometimes you sub out.
I think that comes with your responsible bidder. If they don't meet all the specifications you put in your bid packet, then they're
Get dinged.
knocked out, they're gone
Mhm.
automatically.
That one word, responsible, has such power in bidding and selection.
I think we use words in there, responsive and responsible bidder. Were they timely? If it came in hours late or a day late, well, then that should be disqualified. It shouldn't even be opened. It should just be shredded. And so it's how responsive is the bidder then, and then how responsible are they, what's their reputation? We know locally who have pretty good reputations or not. But these bids are gonna come in from the bigger counties like Lewis and Clark and Gallen County for a big project. Now, the bridge thing, that was good because WWC Engineering, they were actually managing that federal grant, and they were managing the contract. And that was good. They went through, had a good bid package, and they had a good evaluation. And they made a recommendation, saying it was a good contractor. They did a good job. Just about done, I believe. Or maybe all done, I don't know.
Yeah,
You know, and they worked in the middle of the winter. Some people can help us, I think, prepare those criteria. Just something they recommended in the literature on the website for the Department of Administration is get together a criteria, how you're gonna judge those bids that are coming in to meet the spec.
I don't have anything else. Got anything on it, Frank?
No, I think covered pretty good.
Well, thank you, Commissioners, for taking the time to at least discuss, look at this topic, take a look at it and discuss it. I think it's You know, I think you need more time to work on it, probably another public hearing. You'll hear some more from department heads, I think. Ask some questions, solicit their comments. You know, and kind of use this edition that we handed out this morning. Probably be the best one. I'll send you an electronic version and send it out. You might get some more comments next 2 weeks.
I'd like to also thank you, Mike, for putting this together. By far, the hardest step of any document is the first draft. So you did a tremendous amount of work, thank you.
Well, Mike Myers helped me a lot.
Thank you,
We
Mike.
already didn't have a definition for what's the invitation for bids?
IFPs and RFPs.
Yeah, RFP, had a pretty good one from the state, and then this informal solicitation bid, we kind of invented those definitions. We worked on those. We needed to understand it, how it works ourselves, and we didn't. But we now learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thanks, guys.
I want to thank you for letting me.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
So do you guys have a time that you want to meet to go together? A work meeting or anything, or you're not going to do that? I need to put that in the minutes.
You know, over again.
Should be an agenda item coming on.
Let's leave it on the agenda for the 20th then?
Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll do, probably try to send a memo out to all the department heads if they have concerns or questions to contact Mike or come to that meeting, so everybody has a chance to get input into it.
yeah. Be a good idea to specifically request those that this will most directly affect to be there. Yeah.
If you guys have time, I'll just kind of throw a couple things at you, if you have the time. I know
Yeah.
you're down to your agenda. I want to say, I don't know who attended Dominic's funeral Saturday. If you did, I appreciate it. I think it went well. It was a long day, tremendously long day, but I think the family was very happy with how things went. It was very tough to kind of get logistically, you know, I think a lot of folks had a lot of perception of what Mason's funeral was, and they were kind of expecting us to take charge and run that same sort of service, which obviously if you were there, and I don't know if any of you were there, but actually I think I saw you there, Laura.
Yeah.
And I think I saw you come through the door. But obviously it wasn't the same service as what Mason, but there's still some protocols there since he was an active officer that we do follow. And I think that went well. The other things yesterday, you guys are gonna see some bills from the DUI task force. We had our DUI task force Super Bowl party for the kids last night. We had, I think, 56 or 58 kids show up. We had it middle school and high school together. Went very well. Lots of participation, lots of good kids there. So I thought it was well responded to, and we did get some food off to the food pantry because of the donation. So that was good. You know, we do have a few issues this week. You know, the weather is obviously causing us little problems, but we had a semi and 6 cars piled up last night down the south end of the county. We're trying to work on that. I did have a discussion with you guys, I believe. I've had a lot of discussions about it. There's the traffic crashes that we have in the county. Captain Wilfer, Sergeant Marcus, and Colonel Butler have all been very receptive. So we're actually trying to work together to implement some traffic enforcement shifts, times where we have a lot of problems with traffic complaints and traffic crashes. We're gonna work together, even use the aircraft to get out and enforce and slow people down. So that has been one of my big things that I've been griping about since 2018 started, has been the number of crashes and injury crashes that we've had in our county. So that's been one of my major focal points. Hopefully that will come to fruition here shortly, and we can start getting out there and combat some of these problems. We will have a bill from juvenile detention. We incarcerated a young man Friday on a felony assault with a weapon. Young man pulled a knife on some kids at the school. So he found his way to Great Falls Detention, and he's still there. So we're gonna have that. I do not know what DOC or what juvenile DOC or whatever they are. I don't know if they charge anyone. So I don't know if they've gone up. I have no idea. It's a complete unknown to me. But obviously, with the amount of violence that it's in the schools right now across the nation, we're not gonna take it lightly. And when you start pulling knives on little kids, we're gonna start having problems. So, and we have that, and then, I don't know if we have some other issues with some mental health stuff that's coming down the pipe, but for the most part, everything's going well. I do believe you will see, I told Seth to, Seth and Mark, replace some tires, so you're gonna see some bills from Casey. Seth's were, he was trying to be a good soldier and run them as well as he could. Safety's first. When you can't stay on the road, it's time to replace some rubber on the tires. So, you will see those as well. So, the rest of the week, we're busy, we have a lot of things going on, but I will be at your Midwinter Conference, Mako, in Billings, starting Monday. So I'll be there through the 15th. If you guys are there, I'm sure we'll see each other. But Eric Bryson asked me to be there for the executive board luncheon with MSPOA, and so I'll be there promptly at 11:30 in Billings for that, and then I'll be there hopefully. Reg Michaels, I know Reg and I think Kevin Wilson and Cindy Waltons are all on the agenda for, I believe it's the 15th in the morning. I'm not gonna say we're gonna have great things to hear from that, but I'm gonna be optimistic. So, should be interesting. So, the other things I just wanna let you guys know, if I haven't done it already, Brandon and I will both be in Hamilton for MSPOA retreat, long-range planning retreat in April 4th, 5th, and 6th. And then we're gonna be I'll be in San Antonio for the Lifesavers Convention, which you're gonna see a bill for from the DUI Task Force, April 20th through the 25th. And then I will be, Brandon and myself, Debbie Wood and Debbie Gosselecki will be at DC May 12th for the National Memorial of Fallen Officers. And then we'll be down in Charleston on the 16th to go to Mason's grave. Those are on us, those are not county bills. So, just so we're clear, we just won't be here, but the county's not footing the bill for it. But we're gonna go down and pay our respects to Mason's gravesite and also stop in and check on his mom and dad. Since they're elder and now most of the kids are gone. So, and then in June, we will be in Billings again for the MSPOA convention, the 18th through, I think it's the 22nd. So Brandon and I will both be gone during that time. Captain Lenz will be here to take care of whatever needs to be done. So, forefront, that's kind of where we're at. And I always try to keep you guys posted on when I'm going to be around and when I'm not going to be here. So, other than that, I think that's kind of the agenda for the year. So,
Can I ask you a question?
you bet.
And possibly a favor? So Justice and Public Safety Committee for Mako. I generally have Brian Gutkin speaking for MSPOA. Will that be you this time?
No, Brian will be there too.
Oh, he will,
So,
okay.
yeah, so, myself and Brian and Sheriff Dutton, Sheriff Fulton, and Under Sheriff Pat Ruse out of Custer County will all be at the, I don't know if they're all gonna stay for the entire Mako conference, but we've been asked to attend. I am actually the alternate to the Mako as well, behind Brian. If Brian's not able to be there, I'm supposed to be there. So that's one of those, thanks. Not that I really wanted to, but,
Well, I'd love to have you in the committee meeting.
yeah.
And
so-
I'd love it if you five could be there for the discussion with Director Michael and,
I think most of them are trying to,
Okay.
I know Under Sheriff Ruse, who's the president of MSPOA right now, he's trying to deal with this homicide that occurred down in his county with the young lady, so I know he's busy trying to get things wrapped up with that. And unfortunately, Sheriff Fulton out of Rosebud County has had probably some of the worst traffic crashes in the state, I think, along his area over there, and he's been busy, quite busy, lots of things going on, but, as far as I know, Sheriff Dutton, as long as he has good health, will be there. So he was down Saturday as well, him and his crew, and they were really good. They let us use their honor guard for Dominic's service, and then to top it off, their detention staff came down and covered the jail. Montana Highway Patrol actually covered the county, took all the calls, and Jefferson County dispatch actually covered their dispatch center during the service and the reception. So
Wow.
I need to write some letters of thank you yet again. Those guys really did a great job. So it's nice that they offer to help when we need it. So
I thought Seth was beyond eloquent. That was really something,
yeah, he did a good job.
yeah. He tied everything together.
I think that's where we're at. So I usually try to get you guys right at first, but like I said, a little landlord tenant issue this morning that took a longer than I anticipated. So I think. Any other concerns or questions?
No,
Okay. So other than that, I think everything's moving. Our numbers are up in the jail, which is good. Tammy's trying to finalize. I was very concerned about January with our inmate housing and what our board building was gonna look like. Not as good as I hoped for, but the initial numbers she gave me, we were gonna be about 50,000 short from where we were the month before. That is very alarming. She said that finalizing, going through, we might be getting close to 60. So that's a far better response than what I anticipated. And so I think we were at 40, 41. Unfortunately, we have quite a few of our own still, but the numbers are up from where they were, and I'm hoping that kind of stays that way. So we'll see. We're pretty on track. I think we're right around, I think we needed about, we needed about 42,000 to meet that objective. So if we can stay on task, where we should meet that revenue expectation if all goes well. So things were fairly decent for February as well. So we've got to keep them up there first. It's month by month, and that's the best we can do is month by month, but we're putting a lot of effort in. We've reached out everybody we could, and we've met with everybody we can too. So gotta leave it up to that. And hope and pray that things, the sun shines on us, even though most don't feel sunshine.
not happy.
Somebody should relocate it to somewhere with the sun. He can't see the shadow. Anything else?
Jake, do you have any language for me? It turns out the JAG funding is not being withheld because of any legal reasons. It's being withheld as a tool to threaten local governments. You got any language for me?
You know,
Can
I
you
haven't-
pursue the
I haven't
task
had a
force?
chance to even sit down with Stratton or get a hold of him and try to have some sort of reach, but it seems like every time we talk, we're getting different feedback. And so there's some things there was an email he sent out saying that they were gonna release some of the funds, but I don't remember which ones they are off the top of my head. I know some of it was tied up to a lawsuit in Chicago over a deal, and they were using some of that. I thought it was burn money.
JAG burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought they were tying it up because of that, but he did send something out that they were gonna release it, or they were gonna do something. So I'll have to go back and look at it. I need to get him on the phone and just get kind of an understanding of what. I know he's had a lot of discussions with Mark Thatcher, and I know the executive board, like Mark EPF, is having lots of conversations about it. I just need to get caught up to speed on the conversation. It was looking pretty dismal when we met in January here at the community room. But it sounds like some things have changed since the 18th. I think it was the 18th of January, 17th of January when we met. And so I just don't know what's all transpired. So, unfortunately, having the issue or the incident with Dominic is definitely kind of mucking the waters in forward progress for the office. If you do hear some griping, I will be completely honest with you. If you hear some griping from my staff, I have been very abrupt with them. One of the things I've seen here, especially since the death of Dominic, is that they've kind of fallen back into more of a recluse type state, and they're not quite fulfilling what I feel is the goals and objectives of our office. And so I've been very in their backside about getting back on task. We still have a mission to complete. There's been a lot of people that have sat, and most of my command staff has been sitting in my office getting an earful from me on quite a regular basis about that. So if you do hear some grumblings about it, it's probably true. I have not been a very pleasant person about it, but when I don't see that our goals and objectives and mission are being done as the taxpayers want us to be doing it, it's time to encourage some better behavior. So that's exactly what I've been doing, and I've got a lot of people's attention right now, and that's exactly what I want. And hopefully we'll get them redirected into some positive forward motion, and we'll go back to doing what we do because it's what we get paid to do. And if they don't like it, like I told them, don't like it, we don't like how I'm trying to get people to do their job, then the door opens the same way it is. You walked in it, you can feel free to walk out of it, and I will find somebody who will do your job for you. So, pretty blunt, pretty honoring, but I'm just not impressed with what I'm seeing right now. So I don't necessarily agree that it's the best use of tax dollars to have people moping around. So we can't change things, we can't control, and we don't have any control over it all. So don't let it affect your work. So that's just me. So I get more. So that's some good things happen. So if you do hear some griping, that's what it is. So, okay?
Yeah.
So, other than that, I will let you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm gonna go, try to do some work. I can't, so. All right?
Thanks, Win.
You
Thanks,
bet.
Win.
And I guess I'm not sure, I don't know if I've seen something from the other folks, but I'm sure this is gonna be a topic of conversation that we're gonna have at some juncture, in regards to all the players involved. One of the conversations I did have is my search and rescue liaison, Deputy Koslecki, has not been, he's been attending but not attending meetings like he's supposed to. So that relay of information from search and rescue to me has not been the best that it should have been or could have been. So hopefully we've got that fixed as well. And hopefully we'll sit down and have a discussion about this, and I think the other proposal that was set forth by the other folks. And I'm sure the trust board is going to be part of that discussion, and probably President Hedstrom and Vice President Koresh, I'm sure, will be involved, as well as Ed Schindel, who's the treasurer. So we'll have to kind of dive through and see what's the best thing there. The numbers, it's almost to the point now, it's almost, some of the numbers, 5-year, I did look at 5-year lease, I mean, we're talking $70,000 to rent a spot. It might be more feasible to look at a long-term plan, more of, if we're gonna invest $70,000 into something, we should probably invest it to a county property versus somebody else's pocketbook. But that's just me, and always open for discussion on that. But that seems like a fairly lengthy, long-term lease agreement at a fairly high price a month. So with that, we'll get to that. But, all right? Okay. Perfect. Have a great Monday.
You too, Win,
Thanks, Win.
thanks.
I got hold of Harold about those reports, and no one had ever talked to him. He says the only thing he knew about it all was in the paper. He would be willing, he says, he had to know what the reports would pertain to and stuff like that, so.
I had a couple of emails from Charlie. He was gonna get a hold of Harold and put him in touch with Jim Lewis in, I believe it was in Libby. the dish did the same thing. So they were, you know, he was gonna get a hold of Harold, so hopefully they get that taken.
That's been since I talked to him then.
And I just got that email from him today, so we might have talked to him over the weekend.
Oh, uh-huh.
And we have a meeting set with Aaron Foley for March 5th at 4 o'clock. Union negotiation.
Yeah, March 5th, right? Just checking back again.
Do you have anything else?
I got a couple of things.
Okay.
First of all, on the 7th, we have that meeting with the Gallatin and Jefferson County Commissioners in Bozeman.
Yeah.
I am not going to take the county car. I'm gonna take my own car. I will not be asking for mileage reimbursement. My sister lives in Belgrade, so I'm gonna stop and see her, and do dinner. So since I'm making it also a personal trip, if you guys wanna use the county car and save the mileage on the county, I would highly recommend that.
I think we have, both of those vehicles are going in for oil changes, or for oil changes that day.
On the
I'll
7th,
try to take one in the morning and see when they get done with the other one.
and I think our meeting's at 2,
At
so as
2,
long as
yeah.
they were done by 1,
Yeah,
that'll work. CTI is Career Training Institute.
okay,
We have a couple of employees who are long-term employees with us now, department heads actually, who started as CTI. CTI is a state-funded agency that helps people who are, they need skills in order to enter the workplace. So the state program will actually pay us, the county, to give job skills to a particular person. So I got an email on Thursday, I think it was, from CTI, and they had somebody who is in need of experience, office experience, as well as customer service experience. Again, everything is paid by the state. So I sent the email to Corey. I said, so here's a compromise. You want a secretary, we don't have the money, here's a compromise. He was going to call CTI about using this person as his secretary. I did email them and let them know, and I said, if Corey doesn't get a hold of you, we certainly could use that service with the accounting department, with the treasury and records and clerk and recorder departments. So that's a win. It's a good compromise.
is there a time frame on this person, as far as how long they're available for?
No, it's generally 6 months to a year,
Okay.
so it could be the perfect amount of time too, with our needs. So that's a plus. I wanted to let you guys know about that. One more thing on the procurement policy that I just wanted to bring up is section 3, it says, subject to, this is something Wynn said as he was leaving, subject to 764005, and then on line 2 it says with a term of less than 1 year. There's actually no provision within that MCA that puts a time limit on, so we would want to just take that out. You go to the planning GIS and CAD program, that was $6,000. It's more than the 3, but it would be used for more than 1 year. Doug's printer that he bought, not Doug's, the county printer
Right.
that's in Doug's office will certainly be used for more than 1 year. So, just that little bit I wanted to make sure I brought
Okay.
forward for our future discussion. So Michelle Edmonds sent us an updated contract. And here it is. The scope of work we already signed, but she sent another one. And then, contract, she had forgotten to include our tentative termination date, which I included, and here is that contract. We already voted on it. So that's that.
All that really changed was just the ending date on it.
Exactly, the scope of work didn't have either the start date or the ending date.
Okay,
This one has both in it, and it does have a clause that either side can cancel with 30 days notice, which is exactly what we'd had previously. And with all these contracts, it's up to us to enforce them.
do we need to vote on this or sign it, or we just need to sign it?
We already
Or we
voted.
on it?
So really all we need to do is sign. Hey Dana.
Hi.
What's that? I said, I take it you were putting that over here for my pile?
Yeah, I didn't want to impose and just throw it on the top of your
Yeah.
pile.
Yeah, just can't get away from it.
There you go. And I sent an email last week on this. And if you want, I can stop if Dana has anything. It's up to you as the chairman.
What's that?
I can wait on Dana if he's got something.
Go ahead, Dan.
You guys get any calls?
Not
No.
one. Now, I left my phone in my truck all day yesterday. I couldn't find it anywhere.
That's good.
But no, I
Probably
didn't
didn't
get any.
anyway.
What's that?
You probably didn't get any calls anyway.
No, I checked it this morning. There were no calls.
Well, I got a call Saturday afternoon. And Milligan Canyon Road down there was water coming over that. And I guess, we don't take care of it. Jefferson County takes care of our little portion. I mean, our little portion's only maybe a quarter mile, might not even be a quarter mile. But we went down and looked at it this morning there, and it came over through that canyon pretty hard. There's places, and some of them draws came through, it looked like it's about 8 feet deep. Washed a bunch of stuff down in the road, and washed big chunks of ice like that on the road.
Wow.
Didn't tear a lot up. I talked to Rory this morning, he's a supervisor over there in Jefferson County, but he went up and looked at it too, but anyway. You didn't get a call on Lone Mountain Road?
You what?
You didn't get any call on Lone Mountain Road? Okay. That's not very good either. From 437 back to the west at toward Upper Kempton Lane, that water came through on the south side of Lone Mountain, came down through there, came through Robert Kazera's field where it always comes, and jumped out into the road, ran down the road, and we've got ice ruts in that road about that deep.
Wow.
So we put some signs up, people are going through it. There's not a lot of guys gonna do with that. We're gonna try to take a blade out maybe tomorrow and try to peel them tops off, and at least just get it so you can drive a car down it. You can take a pickup down, but you can't take a car down. So,
Yep, that would happen Saturday then?
yeah. Yeah, Price Road and that, we were up looking around there this morning too. There was a lot of water came from, looked like from interstate down through Dennis Ron's, down there just north, south of that Dunbar, the old Dunbar Road, came down through that field. I mean, it came through there probably 40 feet wide and 3-4 feet deep. You know, it all went down course, you know, down to the river underneath the 287 there, but, you know, we didn't have anything messed up, it was a lot of water.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about the worst of it. And then Chris Hosfeld called on that Hosfeld Lane and Muddy Lane. This morning I was out there last week and there was water, you know, coming a little bit across the road there, but you know, it wasn't bad, you know. But it came across the road there Saturday and, I just told him he might wanna get a hold of Ernie and have Ernie clean the dirt dam out of his ditch up over there like he usually does. Probably take care of it. So. Anyway, got a few cones out one though. So I'd let you know.
Thank you.
I guess we'll try to peel some off. Maybe.
Yeah.
So. Guess if you get any more calls on it, or get any calls, you can tell them I looked at it. So, I did talk to the one gal out on Lone Mountain this morning that called. Told her kind of what was going on there, so at least she knows. Her husband works in, I think he works for Redway maybe, Bloomquist, you know him? Mark Bloomquist, he's from Three Forks, but he's living down in that house, so. Anyway.
Good to know. Yeah, thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
See you.
See you, Dana.
yeah, see you guys.
So this is something I emailed out last week. This is kind of piggybacking off of, you heard it again from when you guys heard it at the department head meeting. And I think it's a fair request. If Wynn is asking for goals, what do we stand for? We set goals amongst ourselves before we start the budgeting process every year, but our attendance is like this. Nobody else hears them. We may follow them. As the heat gets turned up, as we get to the end of the budget season and emotions run high and, you know, we have incidents like last Monday, the goals kind of get forgotten and set aside. And if people aren't here to hear them, their assumption is, well, we haven't set any goals. We don't know what we stand for. So, after talking to Michelle Edmonds with you guys after the department head meeting, and she said, you know, what you brought up is really a mission statement. I went ahead and jumped off of that. It's in MCA, and I can give you the MCA. But I just put together a mission statement. What do we stand for? What is the crux of what we're doing? What's our vision? And then a number of goals. So I'd like some input from you guys. And would you like a copy?
Sure.
I can probably go from memory. Make another set.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Goals are not to lock you into anything, but they are to set, this is who we are and what we believe in. Well, these gents are reading, I'm gonna go make another
I
copy.
was just gonna say, you want me to make another copy of it?
I can
You
make
have an
another
extra copy?
I do, I just don't know if I have my keys, here they are. what we do is management, sign contracts, et cetera. Supervision of 63 employees and manage a $15 million budget. That's not the mission or vision or goals. Those are all what we do from the soul side of who we are as commissioners. Any comments?
No, I think that's what says everything we should be doing.
Do you want to adopt them? And what I'd like to do is actually put them up in here so that when we start the budget, when we have incidents like last week, we have a set of budget or goals we can send out to everybody, and they all know what we stand for and who we are.
Do we have to do this in a resolution?
No, it's just managerial. This isn't setting any kind of a policy, it isn't, again, the goals are not locking us into anything. This is just informing the public, informing our employees, informing our fellow elected officials what this commission stands for and believes in.
Yeah, we think that we could adopt them. We entertain a motion to adopt, they said, Barbara County Commission mission, vision, goals statement.
I would so move.
I'll second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to adopt the Barbara County Commission mission, visions, goals statement dated February 5th, 2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same, motion carries.
And there is a place to sign on the second page. Give you that signed one.
This one back?
Either way, thank you. You want a copy, Mike?
Yeah.
All right. So, this is just for your information. We adopted this some years ago, and it's been updated once since, but it's basically what we used to call the civility policy, and it set a tone for our meetings. It was started because of what we were kind of going through at the time with John Wright and that crew coming into the meetings and pretty much bullying, harassing. That's not okay, period. So that's what this is, and then, and I'm just giving you a copy. We can re-adopt it if you want, but it still stands until it is
Okay.
unadopted, so we don't need to. This was put together after Dan Clark came to town. That's the Broadwater County Public Process Policy, and it also talks to civility in meetings, shared respect, maintaining that each person, like Wynn says, stays in their own lanes. And this was adopted with help from the local government center. So I'm just giving you these two for reference. I think I put a couple of copies when you were brand new on your desk. But when you're brand new, you're kind of drinking from a fire hose. So
Okay.
for your reading pleasure, you have two more. And then the last thing I wanted to do was talk about conference. I know it's in Billings. I know it's a long ways to go, and I know it's a long 4 days. But I sent an email on this too. I like email because it's totally trackable for the public. But if it is a hardship to go, I would suggest maybe just going Wednesday morning and coming back Wednesday night.
I think I'm gonna go Monday afternoon and come back Wednesday evening.
Oh, okay, perfect. That would be excellent. One thing with the Energy Committee, and I don't know if you're still gonna go to that, you can go to any one of the committee meetings, but as a member of that committee, you can bring forward the power of MACO to support Cypress. Cypress is a solar power company that was actually going to bring 2 farms into Broadwater County.
Oh.
Huge, huge investment. Opened the door for a community co-op, which would have lowered electric bills. I think you're on Vigilante.
Yes.
Town is on Northwestern Energy, which is quite a bit more expensive. It would have been a huge tax base benefit for the county and lowered property taxes for everybody else. It just, there were a lot of benefits, and we had an active property seller that was interested in this. And the PSC made some rulings that are being questioned, and it's now in a lawsuit.
Oh.
Cypress is suing.
So the project's not out of the question, they're just waiting for this ruling, is that what?
Well, my understanding is that Cypress actually sued not on the Broadwater County project, but on one of the other projects. Whether or not ours is still a possibility, I don't know. One of the properties was just out over here by the bridge. And it has gone back to the family and is back to cattle property. So we've lost one of the properties. You know, if there could be an agreement in the future, or if there's another plot of land, I don't know. I would think we have enough, that there would be other opportunities, but I don't know. But one of the things that we can do through MACO and these committees is put forth opportunities to support some of these things. So the Energy Committee could, if you wanted to lead this, might actually come forth and support Cypress in their lawsuit, with the hope that that would benefit Broadwater County. One of the things that we're doing right now is we just got funding and shared that with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, but we've filed an amicus brief to be a friend of the court to help defend the Johnny Crow Timber Project against some of those litigants that just come in at the 11th hour, put a stamp on the envelope. So it's actually had some success, like with Stonewall, to actually speed up the process and oppose these groups. So that's kind of some of the power of MACO and MACO committees. So I just wanted to share that with you. I didn't know if you'd thought about that with the Energy Committee. I expect in public justice and public safety that we may have some such action proposed by MSPOA if they're bringing in WIN as the big guns. So, but good, I'm glad to hear that, Mike. The most valuable part of conference is the networking, talking to people. So, that's all I have.
You got anything, Franklin?
No.
Okay, we'll adjourn at noon.
Dun, 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 dun. And also, Mike, I haven't talked to Doug yet. I'm gonna ask him if I can just carpool with him to Billings. If you wanna ride with us, you're more than
Me
welcome.
and Julie are gonna take care of some of her dad's stuff at the evening, so.
Oh, good, okay.
So.
Yeah,